Dedicated to Imani, also known as Crutches and Spikes, because she challenged me so much to think about the intersections of ableism and racism. I gotta do better. Education is elevation, and I hope we all can pick up a little bit of what she putting down. She said, so every time I mention the increase in disabled people due to COVID, someone inevitably says that means that more people will be disability advocates. She said, I hate to burst your bubble, but I have a little wine in me, so gird your loins, my friend. And she gave a trigger warning for eugenics and unaliving. Imani starts by saying, so keep in mind that I was born with my disability, so much of what I'm about to say are observations from my advocacy work. Not a lot of people consider themselves as disabled from the onset of their condition. Some never do. In fact, the onset of the pandemic may have been the first time a lot of people told anyone about their conditions, and that was because employers were playing with their lives in regards to lockdowns. You have to keep in mind that most of our understanding of disability surrounds capitalism. So in becoming disabled, vast majority will either have to or feel there is no choice but to overcome their disabilities. Capitalism is so wild and dehumanizing, it literally has us lost in the sauce of productivity. So we will value humans based off of our perception of their productivity. It makes me think about W.E.B. Du Bois's double consciousness theory. It made me think about what does it mean to be black and disabled, and how many levels of consciousness must one have to be thinking about how you are perceived, how the world perceives you, and how you move through the world. But like Imani said, the idea of overcoming your disabilities only worsen your health. And usually I think about shucking and jiving in terms of race, but Imani made me think about it in terms of disability. She said that many will even position themselves as examples as why other disabled people with the same diagnosis are just lazy as to add to value to the ableist white supremacist system. And this the part that made my jaw drop, because I know she right. What the most disturbing aspect to this has been and will be is that not a small amount of people dealing with their diagnosis will unalive themselves. Media will begin heralding these people as choosing dignity or being kind to their family by not being a burden more and more as we see the cascading effect. When you think about disability, think about how regardless of what your race is, you already seen as exposable and disposable, and then think about the stigma of race and what it means to be black and disabled in this. As with everything surrounding disability, non-disabled people or those who think they are will begin pressuring other disabled people to do the same as not to drain resources. As you can see an example of this in the mentions of any parent of a child with disability, as the commenters would tell those parents to unalive the disabled child for mercy. The rest of the newly disabled people will be thrown in such a loop by the lack of support and safety net that it's unlikely they will have the emotional bandwidth to even think about the advocacy work. History is likely going to repeat itself if we do not address these sentiments. After the 1918 pandemic, eugenic sentiment skyrocketed. The disability has always been the mechanism for which America has exterminated black, indigenous, and people of color. Pause to read this, man.